What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Mike Robinson, and this is another episode of Let's Take a Walk. I haven't seen you guys in about a week, a couple of weeks, or a week or so. It seems a lot longer. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving and holiday and spent time with their families or whatever. I did. Ate a lot of turkey, watched some football, some good movies on Netflix, and I just really enjoyed myself. I hope you guys did too. Um, but we're back. Um, and tonight we have another awesome guest. It's always a treat when I have someone on the show that is kind of from the same area that I'm from. So they kind of know what I'm talking about in certain situations, and so this is one of those times that I really look forward to. Tonight we have on Miss Goldia Felder. She is a life and wellness coach. I cannot wait to dive into that. She's a motivational speaker. She's a teacher of sorts. And listen, for those of you who may not be familiar with her movement, I'm just going to give her a couple of seconds to kind of reintroduce herself and kind of give a little background on all she has going on. You have the floor.
Hey, everybody. So my name is Goldia, and I am in Jacksonville, Florida. I am a life and wellness coach, and I normally deal with, or my niche basically is dealing with relationships and motivation. And so hopefully we can kind of get into that tonight and kind of introduce myself a little bit more and what I do. So, and I really appreciate Mike even asking me to do this. He asked me a while back and I was just like, yeah, probably wasn't ready. I had a lot going on. So, but here we are now and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, that is great. That is awesome. Um, I don't know where to start. Um, let's start with the life and wellness. What's your definition of life and wellness, and how did you get into this? I don't want to say business, but this vocation or this business or this profession,
Profession.
career.
That's probably a better word.
Yeah.
So actually, this started a long time ago, Mike. I've always been a person that really cared about people. That's just always been a thing of mine. I've always been an advocate for what's right and people being treated fairly. And so growing up, I was always advocating, even in my house. Um, my siblings, you know how siblings can get, right? And I
Hmm.
would find myself in the middle of my siblings trying to bring peace. And as I went on, what I wanted to do was to go into psychology. That was going to be my major when I did finally get into college. And I initially didn't because I got married like 2 weeks out of high school, right?
Wow.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
right? 2 weeks out of high school. So it took me a while to get to that point where I did finally go to college. But this is the thing. When I went, I decided, because everybody was saying business degree, that's the fastest degree. So I was like, okay, I'll do business. And
Hmm.
then as I got into it, my understanding was usually when you first start college, you're going to change your mind along the way a few times.
Right.
Well, I
Right.
changed my mind and I went into criminal justice. But the more I learned about criminal justice and the more we studied, the more I was like, that's not for me, right? And so I did end up, once I moved from back home, which I don't know, a lot of people may or may not know Palatka, Florida, which is a small little place, it's kind of south of Jacksonville.
Right.
So I ended up, when I moved up here, I attended Edward Waters and they had a program called the Climb program.
Mhm.
It was an accelerated program that really kicked my butt. I mean, it was really, really hard. But this is the thing, I was determined that I was going to get my degree. And I did end up getting a degree in business. And I moved on to working for a company that I worked for about 20 years.
Wow.
Once I left there, it was like, you know what? It's time for me to really pursue what's in my heart. And that's what led me to life and wellness coaching. So I ended up attending CTEDU coaching school, which is an accredited school by ICF. Now, ICF was founded, I think, back in the 80s, I believe it was. No, I'm sorry. It was founded in the 90s, I think around 95. But coaching has been around since about the 80s. It's just that coaching in the 1980s was more geared to just planning your life. But it kind of grew and blossomed into this thing where it kind of like encompasses like everything, like whether it's your career, if you want to change careers, if you are single, it just encompasses a lot of things. And so that I just kind of got pushed that way because I figured, you know what? I don't have my degree, but this is really close. And so that's what I did. I just went into the coaching field.
So this is a question that I've been wanting to ask since we set this up. Well, this is one of the questions.
Yeah.
You know, of course, you deal with all types of people from all types of backgrounds, all types of different experiences and things.
Yeah.
So you must see a lot of things like this close. You see, you know, mental illness. You probably see some sickness. You probably see, you know, a lot of depression, lack. You know what I'm saying? Low self-esteem, all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So my question to you is it a struggle for you, or has it been a challenge for you to not take that stuff home with you? Like, how do you decompress, or how do you unload that once you're not in that mode?
You know what? That's a very interesting question, because you would think that you would kind of take it on. And I don't know about other people, but I have this innate ability to just really listen to people.
Mhm.
And once it's done, it's done. I don't take it with me. I don't take it to heart. Um, I just, yeah, and I'm not sure why that is, because I have heard of psychologists and therapists. I have heard of them being overwhelmed with that, right? But I have not been overwhelmed with it or anything. I listen and I just move on. And I don't know if it too is because I've always been a listener, right? And
Mhm.
I've always had people to come to me and talk to me about things that they were dealing with, things that they were going through. And I've just never took it home with me.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. That's the first time I've ever heard that.
Yeah.
Um, do you ever feel, well, then on the flip side of that, is there ever a challenge to not be numb? Because you hear so many stories from people, and you hear so many things that it kind of desensitizes you in your life. Have you ever found that's a challenge as well?
I have not found that to be a challenge. Now, I can say, of course, I empathize with people when I'm talking to them, and I feel for them in that space. But I've never, again, I've never taken it to heart. I think for me, it's about maintaining professionalism and staying neutral. Because just say if someone came to me and they were talking to me, and just say they were married, right? And they're talking to me about maybe something that's going on in their marriage. I have to stay neutral because I'm not going to take this side, because I know, you know how the older people used to say there's always two sides to every story. And even though a person may be telling me something, that's their reality. And I would never, ever minimize that. But I also have to stay neutral. So if some more information come in there, now I got, I'm kind of building that picture where I can see it holistically and deal with it from that perspective.
How does it, has it been an advantage for you in your regular life? Have, do you apply, do you apply the same principles to that you do to in your regular life?
hmm I actually do. It's funny that you asked that, because I was just talking to my daughter. I think it was the day before yesterday, or one day this week. I was talking to her about that. But everything that I learned in my life, actually, and everything that I have learned in the coaching profession, I have been able to use everything that I've learned to propel myself forward, right? When I'm feeling a particular way, everything that I learned in class, what I need for that moment, it comes back to me and I go, and I have my aha moments. And then I'm able to move away from it with the information that I have and with the knowledge that I have. I'm able to kind of not stay in that place. And believe it or not, you doctors need doctors, right? Right. Therapists, psychologists, trust me, they go to therapy. Coaches need coaches. I have a coach. Yeah, because there are sometimes I need to decompress from my stuff, right?
Right.
So I understand how important it is for people to have someone and have that space where they can feel safe to talk about what they need to talk about and kind of get a perspective on that, if that makes sense. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Um, yeah, that's one of the things that I always wonder. Like you guys are like in pastors, you kind of like run neck and neck because you deal with some of the same stuff
Mhm.
and even within yourself, you deal
Yeah.
with certain challenges like I said earlier, you know what I'm saying, not being able to dump that stuff once you leave out of the door and don't
Right.
bring
Right.
it home. So,
Right.
a lot of these questions that I'm going to ask you tonight are some of the same questions I ask when I have like ministers and pastors, on here because I feel like
Yeah.
in a certain type of way you got to have those type of I guess to be a pastor you have to have those skills or whatever.
Well, believe it or not, I used to be an assistant pastor. So,
Oh wow. Okay. Okay.
yeah.
So and it's funny. I'm thinking like I'm just like daydreaming. Like I could imagine maybe you talking to your kids and one of them saying, "Okay, mom, you stop analyzing me. You're using your work on me. Talk to me like mom. You know what I mean? You're talking to me like Dr. Felder. I need mom. I need mommy."
Yeah.
Or whatever. So do you ever deal with that? Do you ever have that
You
that
know
type of
what?
conversation?
I don't. And guess what? They literally, especially two of my daughters, I've actually coached them.
Oh wow.
They
Wow.
they came to me, and I coached one of my daughters for a few sessions, and then
Mhm.
another I've had her. Of course, they were kind of like off the grid, so to speak,
Mhm.
but they were
Mhm.
coaching sessions nonetheless. And I had to remove myself from mommy mode to
Mhm.
coaching mode. And I just don't know. And that's what that's why I believe it's just a gift, and it's just a gifting, and it's my purpose, because I am able to listen. And if I'm doing the coaching part and not the mommy part, I can stay in that mode.
Mhm.
But now when I go mommy mode, I'm in mommy mode. So
Right, right, right. Um, is it, and this is gonna might be a funny question to you. Is it possible, is it even possible to be perfectly mentally fit? Like, and if it is, what is that? What does it mean to be mentally healthy? Like 100% mentally healthy? If that's even a thing. And then this is like three questions in one. And then who determines that?
okay, so is it possible to be perfectly
Mhm,
mentally healthy?
mhm,
I think that we are always striving to be mentally healthy.
mhm.
So to say if there is ever a time we are perfect, my personal opinion, I don't think that we can ever actually be perfect, but I think we can always push forward and strive to be in a good place mentally. And yeah, I don't think that there is necessarily a perfect thing. I think we're continually striving to stay in it, like I said, in a good place mentally.
Yeah, like and even if that was a thing,
Mhm.
I don't think that there is a such thing as being 100% perfectly mentally healthy because we all have our our things.
Mhm.
But like who would even determine, what I'm saying, what qualifies as being sufficiently mentally fit, like where I may not be out here robbing and stealing, I might have, some type of other vice or some type of other trauma that causes me to do what most people would think is peculiar or unusual or or even detrimental.
Mhm. So give me a for instance.
Like I said, I might not be robbing and stealing, but I might, I don't know, I like to set fires, for instance. You know what I'm saying? I might like have a problem,
Mhm.
with arson or something crazy like that, or
Yeah, you need a therapist at that point.
or or okay, so like I might not be rob and steal, but I feel like in my mind that I'm not enough for it. Like I don't feel lovable. I don't feel confident when it comes to um I don't know, finding a mate possibly,
Yeah.
or just maintain a healthy relationship with anybody, whether it be a romantic one or just a general friendship one, because of maybe something that I've dealt with,
Right.
in my childhood or in my past or whatever that has caused me to kind of have like a glitch when it
Mhm.
comes to, what I mean? There are some people who can be around a lot of people, but they don't necessarily trust or connect with anyone.
Right.
Although they're able to maneuver and be, they seem like they have a lot of friends, but they don't really trust anybody. You know what I mean? Things like that.
Okay. So let me do this. There are a lot of misconceptions about what a life coach is. So just to touch on that a little bit, a life coach, um, and a lot of times people mistake them for therapists.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and although a person's past may come up, because it is a collective of who they are, life coaches aren't therapists. And you were talking about something in the past, right? So therapists deal a lot with revisiting a person's past, and then they try to figure out what in their lives has traumatized them to make them be a certain way. And then what they try to do is they delve into that like hard and try to move the client away from that in a healthy way. Then you have what they call consultants, which in consulting, you have someone that's partnering with you, but they're going to tell you what to do,
Mhm.
or they're going to get a plan for you to follow, right?
Mhm.
So that's what they do. But with life coaches, it's like a partnership. I
Okay.
don't try to psychoanalyze a person. If I'm coaching someone, if I'm partnering with someone and during the course of that partnership, I determine that they need a deeper something going on, that there's a deeper something going on, and they need more than what I can give them. I
Mhm.
am going to direct them to a therapist.
Okay.
And for all that you were just kind of putting out there, that's kind of like a twofold. I would have to listen to kind of get more information
Mhm.
so that I can determine if that's something I can help you with, or if I need to push you on to a therapist.
Gotcha.
And a lot of what you just said, there's a lot as a coach I could do and talk you through a lot of things and kind of challenge your thought processes and challenge your values. Why do you feel that way? Because as I stated before, a lot of your past will come up in coaching because that's a part of who you are.
Mhm.
But I'm going to deal with trying to be in that moment and move you away from that forward so that you can be successful. Whereas the therapist is going to go way back and
Mhm.
try to bring you through all that to success. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And I thank you for making that distinction between the two, because that's kind of the mode that I was actually kind of in. But now that you've made that distinction, it kind of shifts the way that this interview is going to go in a good way, in a good way, in a
Yeah.
good way.
Oh, I'm going.
Um, like earlier, I asked you, like, is it even possible to be perfectly mentally stable?
Mm-hmm.
Um, my question to you is in the process of coaching. So you're coaching me. I'm a business person, for instance. I started my own business. I've
Mm-hmm.
never done it before. This is new territory.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to figure out what to do next. But because of, for whatever reason, um, I just don't feel like I have what it takes,
Mm-hmm.
even though I'm following my dream, but I'm still kind of unsure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm moving forward. I'm still trying to move forward. What do you tell me? Like in the vein of being like somebody who's trying to pursue something of a, like I say, like a business, like a new business, a small business person or something.
Right. Okay. And again, that could end up being a twofold. So we can look at the consulting part of it and
Mhm.
say, yeah, I can sit down and tell you what to do and how to strategize. However, you said something about, uh, I think you said something about fear and kind of like apprehensive about moving forward.
Mhm.
What I would do in that situation is I would deal with the whys. Why do you feel this way? Right?
Mhm.
Um, what are you afraid of? I would ask you things like, how far do you want to go,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
But the first thing that we would have to deal with is the fear. Because based on the information you just gave me, I heard fear. And so I would have to understand, why do you fear? Do you fear failure? Do you fear success? Because a lot of people fear success,
Right.
and they
Absolutely.
won't move forward because they're afraid to succeed. That could go a lot of ways, but you'd be surprised. It may not even be fear, because the more we have that conversation and the more questions I ask you, what will end up happening, which I've learned that from coaching a lot of people, and I've coached investors. I've actually coached the world's first plus size model, and we had a blast. But there are those fears that we have to find out, why do we fear? What
Mhm.
do we fear? Now, that might sound like therapy. That might sound like something a therapist will do. Well, with coaching, we do use a lot of the tools that therapists use, right?
Mhm.
So we'll be asking a lot of questions like therapists ask questions. The therapist just can do a little bit more than what we can do.
Mhm.
So that, again, that goes back to having that session and talking to you or the client and figuring out, why are they where they are, so that I can move them from that space and move them forward.
So as I was reading your bio, you put a lot of emphasis on the ships, relationships, you know what I
Mhm,
mean, friendships,
mhm,
trying to build, that bridge and that connection.
mhm.
Um, what do you find is the biggest obstacle that people have when they're trying to navigate that? What have you found I know that everybody is different, but have you found any common threads when it comes to people in relationships?
What I have found to be the common thread is communication,
Mhm.
which, for me, communication is like the umbilical cord in a relationship.
Mhm.
That's what connects those two people together. And that's whether it's in a marriage, a romantic relationship, a friendship, is communication. And so if you don't know how to talk, if you have fears around communicating, if you feel like what you have to say is not important, you won't talk. And so I think it's important for couples to really be able to sit down and have those conversations, and they be true and honest. But if you have people who, for whatever reason, usually people don't tell the truth, that they're not forthcoming out of fear. It
Right,
goes back to
right,
fear.
right.
What is the consequences going to be if this? What are going to be the repercussions? And nobody likes controversy. I mean, anybody that I know I don't
Yeah.
like a whole lot of controversy. I know that conflict and stuff will come up, but how do you navigate that? You've got to be able to talk about it, and you got to be able to come to the table and lay everything out. Just be courageous in your conversation and work it out. So,
Yeah, but it goes both ways though, right? You have to be able to communicate, but sometimes we don't always hear correctly. Is
oh
that
yeah,
a is that
yeah,
a thing?
absolutely. There is what they call a level 1 and level 2 listening. right?
Mhm.
And some people are in level one. Sometimes people are just listening to answer.
Right.
You know, you gotta listen to understand. And that's not always easy, depending on what the conversation is. I've had conversations with people, and it's like my heart feels like it want to beat out my chest because it's like I'm ready to say something, right?
Right.
I'm
Right.
ready. I'm ready to get it told. But um, that's what coaching has helped me in
Right. Right.
is to listen and listen to understand
Mhm.
what that person is saying. And yes, it goes both ways. Each person have to come to the table willing to listen and not listening to answer. You know, you already done formulated your answer before the person even get finished, because at that point you tune them out. You really don't hear what they're really saying. You don't really hear their heart, you know? And so
Yeah.
that just makes this a recipe for failure there.
Let me ask you this. In, in life coaching and wellness coaching,
Hmm.
and how you dealing with people, is there room for spirituality? I mean, because we realistically, everybody doesn't believe, you know, the same way.
Yeah.
So, is there even a place for spirituality when it comes to dealing in these types of matters? And if so, I mean, can you kind of expound or explain on it?
Yeah. So when it comes to that, I try to know my client, right? I don't just come out and ask them, well, what faith are you? That's just not my thing. But you can kind of tell when you're in conversation with people where they are. And when I can tell, that it's okay to kind of go there, I'll go there. Um, but I'm not full blown there. Now, if they want to talk about it, oh, it's on. We're gonna talk about it. But my clients, for me, are the experts of their lives. And so when I'm in a conversation with them, I want them to tell me what it is that they want, what it is that they're trying to achieve in their lives. And if it has something to do with God or spirituality or whatever, and that's what they want to talk about, that's what we're going to talk about. And I'm ready, Freddie, because I mean, I came to know Christ at 15, at 15 years old. That's my life. That's my life. Um, and for me, don't exist outside of that sphere, right? Can I function in all things? Absolutely. But I know that God is my source. I know that God is my source. And so if that's something my client wants to talk about, then we talk about it. But I don't particularly bring it up.
Okay. Um, when it comes to just overall wellness in the life coaching,
Mhm.
um, and this is just a general question. Um, when you go through the processes as a person, like if I'm going through the processes of, you know, gaining clarity and gaining understanding in relationships and the communication, whatever, just going through the processes
Yeah.
of it, the reading, the communication, that whole gambit of things going on. Can that be an obstacle in and of itself? Like you're so into going through the paces of it, going through the processes of it, that the very thing that you're shooting for, you're
Hmm.
kind of like missing it because you're concerned about getting the process right.
Hmm.
Do you find that you in the process of that you you can run the risk of kind of losing a bit of authenticity because you're trying to. You understand what I'm trying to say?
I,
Like,
I think I understand what you're saying, and I guess my answer to that would be knowledge is power. It's okay to have the knowledge, but you've got to know how to merge the knowledge with just practical. You've got to know how to put the two together.
mhm,
Know when to apply what you know, but be genuine. I think it's
mhm,
important to be authentic in your approach to relationships. Very authentic. Book knowledge is one thing, but heart knowledge is another. And
right,
all of us have different love languages and the way we show love and the way we talk about love, the way we even understand love, right?
mhm,
Because we've all been raised different states, even
right,
Midwest. They probably look at relationships in a whole different way from over here where we are, right?
right, mhm,
Um, Up in the hills, they probably look at relationships totally different from somebody way in the valley. So it just depends on who you are, how you were raised, what have been your experiences coming up and being in relationships, because every relationship is different.
right,
And one thing I've learned is you can't be in a relationship and that relationship doesn't work and you take that baggage over into another relationship. It's just not
mhm,
going to work. So what do? You have to empty that stuff out, and you have to be willing to trust the next person that comes, that they're not going to break your heart or cheat on you or whatever the situation is. But if they do and you move on, you can't take that baggage with you because you will never be able to cultivate a healthy relationship.
right.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think, personally speaking, I think that there were times where you're trying so hard. Well, I'm speaking personally, trying so hard to stay the course and complete the thing that without even really trying, the emotional component
Mhm.
gets pushed to the side because I become um more intent on trying to complete the mission.
Mhm.
You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? And sometimes like I said, the emotional component, like you said, the authenticity, the realness in your heart kind of like takes a back seat because even though the mission is to try to pull
Mhm.
things out of your heart and your spirit, you're
Yeah.
so caught up in the process of doing it that you forget that that's what it's about. You know what I mean? And I guess that's what I was kind of meaning when I was asking that, is that can that be a challenge? You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure that when you speak to men and women and couples and things, you have them do you might assign them certain assignments or give them certain tasks to do. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Mhm.
And in the midst of that, I'm trying to please Miss Felder,
Mhm.
but emotionally, I'm
Mhm.
really detached from it because now it becomes almost like homework as opposed to heart work. I guess if that makes sense.
Mhm. Yeah, it actually does. And this is why my daughter-in-law used a word probably about a year or so ago, maybe longer, and it made so much sense. You have to allow things to happen organically, right?
Mhm.
If you start trying to do it by the book, it's probably not going to work because, like you said, now you're separating the heart from it. You're separating the emotions because you're doing the mechanics of it. And the mechanics of it, in and of itself, isn't going to work. So it's best to just let it happen. Just be natural with it. Just be yourself and just let whatever's going to happen in that relationship.
That's absolutely awesome. um, connect the dots. Connecting the dots.
Mhm.
What is that? Let's talk about connecting the dots.
Okay. So connecting the dots was because I rebranded to Uniquely
Okay.
You Coaching. But connecting the dots was basically dealing with working with people and helping them to connect why they're here and where they need to go to get there. So connecting the dots was kind of like understanding the process, right? When
Mm-hmm.
we have, remember how when we were in school and we were making, say like it was I'll just use a Christmas tree. That was really
Mm-hmm.
popular, I know, when I was coming up. And it was just dots. And to make that full tree, we had to connect all those dots, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So in order to be successful, you have to connect all those dots that you need to get you to success. So that's what the connecting the dots was all about. But again, rebranding to Uniquely
Mm-hmm.
You Coaching, which is basically we are geared towards you as an individual, as one unique person. And even though, just say you might be married or in a
Mm-hmm.
relationship, you're still an individual. And so what we do, or what I do, is tailor that coaching to you as an individual. And then if there is a couple, then it's tailored to you as a couple. But I might talk to the husband or the girlfriend, and then I might talk to the wife or the husband, and then at some point I'm going to talk to them together. But I need to hear their hearts on an individual basis so that I'll know,
Mm-hmm.
how do we need to merge this thing? How does this get fixed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's what the connecting the dots was all about.
So uniquely you is the rebrand.
Yes,
Okay. So you're an author.
I am.
Tell us about tell us about Miss Felder's authorship. Since you like to deal in so many ships, let's talk about the
Listen,
authorship.
listen, I got it's so much on this ship. um, I have always been very creative, very creative. I used to draw or sketch,
Mhm.
and was very good at it. Um, I played the drums, I played the guitar, lead and
Wow.
bass. Um,
Wow.
I played the keyboard. So
Mm.
I've always been in that arena. And I used to read a lot when I was younger. And I just always wanted to write. I always wanted to write a book because I have this imagination where stories just come to me like that. I can see scenes, I can see stuff happening, and I can just start writing. So I decided, after God knows how many years, you know what? It's now or never. I'm going to do this. So my first book, When Loving Him is Killing You,
Wow. Okay.
is um, it's not fiction, of course, and it deals with understanding relationships, knowing when they're toxic, knowing when it's time to let go, not being afraid of letting go, um, knowing the warning signs, because a lot of times in relationships, we know what's up. In the very beginning, we know, this is not the one. But, and I dealt with this because I'm divorced now, like over 20. maybe 25 years divorced.
Hmm.
And I went through this period in my life where I was afraid. I was like, I don't want to grow old alone.
Right.
And I would see red flags. They'd just be like waving and just like horns be blowing and everything. And I'm like, I didn't want to see it. And so it ended up, I had to pay the consequences for not recognizing or not that I didn't see the red flags, because trust me, we know when we get in relationships, we know if it's going to work or not.
Hmm.
And I didn't want to grow old. So I had that thing in my head, but I finally grew up, right? And I got tired of not seeing those flags. So when I said when loving him is killing you, it's like when you're in a relationship, male or female, when you're in a relationship and you're going through health issues, your body is breaking down, and you wonder what is going on. Well, it might be that relationship you're in that you keep trying to hold on to, and you need to let it go. So that's what when loving him is killing you, is kind of centered around. But again, that goes for males too. Men will try to hold on to women that's toxic, for whatever their reasons are. And you just got to know when it's time to let go. And that's another thing. The church used to try to tell us, don't you go anywhere, make this work, and you getting beat up all the
Right.
time.
Wow.
Women beat men up too, you know. So it's like you would be told to stay in that. I just don't believe that God works like that. I don't believe that He wants you to get beat up all the time, every weekend. You getting your head bust to the white meat. I just,
Right.
I just
Right.
don't believe that.
Wow. You just listen. You just wow. Wow. Um, you kind of threw me off with that. Uh, with you, with you being far removed from that relationship, how how are you better? Like, what has it done for you?
When I was, it's done a lot because I I stayed because I felt like I needed to prove something to people. You
Mm,
know, I was in this position where I wanted to prove um people wrong. And I just had an epiphany one day, and it was like, you deserve to be treated better. You deserve um you deserve better for yourself. And so I decided, you know what? It's time for me not to be afraid to move away from a toxic relationship and live a better life. And
mm,
so that's what I did. How has it changed me? It has made me more empathetic to people that I have met and have gone through and are going through the same type of situation. It's given me more knowledge. It has definitely helped me in the spirit of coaching, because I don't go into coaching in the relationship space without knowledge and a personal knowledge. So it has really helped me. And not only that, I've gotten to be bold. You know how the Bible does talk about being bold as the righteous are as bold as a lion.
mhm.
Oh, hear me roar.
Wow. Mm, wow.
Yes, I have grown, Mike, so much because, like I told you in the very beginning, I got married 2 weeks out of high school. Two
Mm,
weeks out of high school, and it took me a long time to come into my own because I was too busy trying to prove something to people that probably didn't really care one way or the other.
right,
You know?
right, right. That's funny that you said that. Like when I actually grew up in New York. I didn't come to Florida, Palaca until I was like I only had 2 years left in high school
Oh wow.
when we got there.
Yeah.
So up to that point, I I raised by a single parent. My mom, she worked a lot when she wasn't working, she
Yeah.
was in school, and it was my sister and I, and she did a lot for us. I mean, we weren't doing as good as some people were, but we were doing better than a lot of people that I knew.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I got of age and I started making my own money or whatever, I thought I felt like I was gonna make up for all that time. No shade to my mom,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I wanted to make up for all the time when I couldn't get the sneakers that I wanted. I couldn't get
Uh,
the clothes that I wanted. And it got to a point where I realized that I was in the malls shopping for sneakers and clothes so that I could look good while I'm in the mall shopping for clothes and shoes. You know what I'm saying? It's like it was just like
yeah.
just a revolving cycle. And I thought about that when you were talking about that. That's really it's
Yeah.
really really wild. You said you in your bio that you had a passion to be a support system. So that's a heavy that's a heavy mantle to carry.
Mhm.
What does that mean for you to you're my support system? So what does that mean? What can I expect from you being my support system?
Me being a support to a client is being there for them, um, making sure that they're okay. I'm really passionate about people and them living the best life that they can live. I really am. And people may not always tell you for whatever reason. And I always say there are people out there who suffer in silence. You
Absolutely,
never know what a person is going through or what
absolutely,
they're facing. You just don't know. And I think it's important to be able to be that person that someone can come to, they can talk to, and they know it's not going anywhere else. And that's one thing I love about even with coaching. I provide a safe space so that when people come and they want to talk about whatever it is that they feel like they need to talk about, that's a confidential space that goes no further than right there between that person and myself.
mhm,
And so I think it's important for people to have support in whatever it is, whatever challenges that they're having, whatever dreams and aspirations that they have. I think it's important for them to have someone that they can come to and say, this is what I'm dealing with, and I don't know how to move forward. When I first moved up here, Mike, I really believe if I had known that coaching existed, I would have fared so much better. I literally held down 4 jobs.
Wow.
I had a full-time job. I worked on the weekends overnight. Um, and I had a gig of my own that I did at a flea market. And I worked for a guy at a flea.
Mm.
So on a Saturday, I might be at, say, the flea market. And then on Sunday, I might be at the other market, the inside flea market. On the weekends at this group home, which was what brought me up here. I came up here to manage have skill specialists.
Mm.
And we did like behavioral programs and stuff like that to help people who are with Down syndrome and other physical disabilities. That's what we did. But after I left there and went to my full time, after I was there full time, but after I left there, I stayed on there part time. So I would literally work all week, come home Friday, leave home, get there by 9, work until the next morning, go back, work till the next morning, and then back to work. So had I known what I know now and had the support that I needed at that time, I believe it would have been a whole lot different. So it makes me definitely more aware of people and their needs. And so it's just my hope that I could be that bridge that help people get across.
Wow. So to kind of sew all of this up,
Mm-hmm.
what do you what would you want, what do you want people to to, to know about you after this? Like, for all that you do, for all that you give, for all that you help and express,
Mm-hmm.
what after, if I've gone through the whole Goldia Felder process of coaching and clarity and all these things, I'm better, but what do you want me to take away in regards to you
Mm-hmm.
when I go back out in the world? What do you want people to know about you? You know, in regards to everything that you do for people.
Mm-hmm. What do I want people to know? I want people to know that I take what I do seriously. And there would never be a time that they will ever feel like they are being judged by me or will be made to um, feel bad or anything like that when it comes to me, because my experiences in life has taught me how to be compassionate towards people. Even people, I'm gonna tell you the truth, even people who sometimes can be just like the most unlovable people there are, but they're people nonetheless. And so I have a heart for people. And my goal is to make sure that whoever you are, whatever you want to do in life, whatever you're going through, whatever challenges you're facing, you don't have to do it alone.
What have you found to be, in your experience, the most common misconception that people have about you?
I'm a Gemini. Does that answer your question?
Okay.
I'm a Gemini. And people tend to think that we're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I mean,
Okay.
like, real.
Okay.
But I think the misconception about me has been people sometimes in the past, I know, they didn't know how to take me because I'm the kind of person, I kind of become really introverted when I'm dealing with things because I'm trying to figure out, okay, what steps I need to take. And when people don't know me, they don't understand that part of me.
Right.
So I think that that's a misconception that, you know, I'm not approachable, that people sometimes are afraid to approach me.
Okay.
I'm one of the like sweetest people you could ever meet, for real.
Okay. If you
For
don't
real.
say so yourself.
I am. I really am.
Okay. Okay. People who and this is gonna be like I got like two more questions and that'll be it. This is more like a statement, I guess. Is this something that you deal with? When you're helping people and you're helping. Okay, so I'm having relationship issues, and so I come to you, me and my significant other, or what have you, whatever issues.
Mhm.
The assumption is, although I may not say it, but the average person that goes to any type of therapy or any type of counseling, anything, the assumption is that mentally or whatever, or from a life standpoint, you're in a better position than me. So I may have in some internal expectations of you that might not be realistic, but I put that on you because by virtue of you being the person that's sitting across the room
Mhm.
advising me, I think I have a certain level of expectation of you, whether or not you're able to live up to them, or even if you're supposed to live up to them. Is that something that you ever have a challenge with people just having unfair expectations of what you can actually do for them because you sit in that seat?
I don't have that problem because in the beginning, what I do is explain to them exactly what the partnership means. And I let them know that they, like I said before, are the experts when it comes to their lives.
Mhm.
And so I feel no pressure. I feel no pressure at all because my thing is if that person come to me, they are ready to do the work. They're ready to do the work because they're the ones that's going to have to make the change. I can't make them change. I can sit and I can talk and I can ask questions and I can do whatever all day till I'm green in the face, whatever. But until they are ready to put in the work and do the work and be serious about moving from this point to that point, then what I do is really null and void because
Mm,
they've got to be willing to do the work.
wow, wow, that's right to the point. Okay, this is my last official question. This is a question that I ask everyone that I have on the show. Once I ask it, I want you to just take a second, think about it, and give me the most honest and transparent answer that you can give me. Okay.
Okay.
The, okay. The question is, what would have to happen in your life if it hasn't happened already for you to consider your life a success? What does success look like for you specifically?
What does success look like to me? Success for me is reaching my own personal goals, right? I'm an author. I'm an inventor. I'm a wellness coach. I'm all those things. Success for me is being the best for myself and my family, and then being the best coach, excuse me, for other people, and seeing them have their aha moments and seeing them be successful in whatever area of their lives that they want to be successful in. It means the world to me to see people reach their goals, because I've had to struggle. I've had to struggle for a long time. And I know what it's like to struggle. I know what it's like to not have anybody to talk to. I know what it's like to lose. Excuse me. I lost my mother in January of this year through COVID. I know what that's like to lose things. But I also know, excuse me, but I also know what it's like to gain and to win. And I think that for me, to be that person and to be that cheerleader for other people and to see them reach their goals, as long as I can see that and see success for them and myself, I'm good.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So if there's somebody out there who has seen something or heard something on this platform tonight, and they just maybe want to get some more clarity, or maybe they want to seek you out for some wellness coaching. I don't know.
Mhm.
And also, where to find your book. How can they get in touch with you? How can they find your literary works and everything that you have going on? How can they get in touch with you?
Okay, so presently I have 3 books out and working on a short story as we speak.
Mhm.
Those can be found on Amazon. Um, you can also go to my website, and that's www.coachg as in gamma ecc.com. Again, that's www.coachgecc.com. That actually has links to where you can buy the book, and it also gives you more information on what I do.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I want to thank you for coming on the show. I really, really appreciate it. I'm glad that we finally were able to sync up our schedules and everything, and I really appreciate it. Um, Listen, you have you have really shed some light on some things for me, and I'm sure that whoever's been watching has been blessed as well.
Yeah.
Um, if you didn't catch this interview from the beginning, you can also watch it on YouTube. Just type in "Let's Take a Walk" featuring Goldia Felder, Felder, and you can watch it in its entirety. Um, I've typed her website in the comments section. So if you want to reach out, if you want to inquire about the books or anything that she has going on, you can absolutely hit her up, and I'm sure she can accommodate you as the best that she knows how. But again, I want to thank you for coming on. I want to thank your family for allowing me to steal you away for a few minutes, and I look forward to having you on again in the near future. Absolutely. I just thank you.
Well, thank you.
Wow. Is there any final thoughts that you want to leave with the people before we sign off?
No, just, you don't have to do it alone, people. I mean, even if it's not me, Coach G, as your coach, there are coaches out there, and you don't have to go it alone. Just remember that.
Wow. Well, again, I thank you. I wish blessings on everything that you have going on and going forward. Again, I appreciate you taking the time out to sit with us. And I look forward to having you on again in the near future. Thank you again.
Thank you, Mike. Have a great evening.
You have an awesome evening as well.
Bye bye.
So there you have it. Another great interview with another great interviewee, Miss Goldia Felder. Felder. Let me get that right. Miss Goldia Felder. Um, she is a life and wellness coach. She's an author and inventor. We didn't get a chance to touch on that, but we will. Um, Listen, you know, as I've said many times on this platform, we're all about inspiring and encouraging and just overall wellness, spiritually, emotionally, physically, the whole nine. And so, with that being said, man, like if there's something that you might have heard or something that inspired you or sparked your interest, please reach out to Miss Felder and ask her all you need to ask her and talk to her about all you need to talk about and all of that. Because, in order for us to move forward, we got to be able to reach out to those who have the resources that we might need. They might have that counsel or that word that might literally change our lives. So we can't discount or shortchange the abilities and the gifts that people have, because God gives them to us to share with others. So with that being said, I just want to thank everybody who chose to come on. Shout out to Andrea. Shout out my BFF. Shout out to Jana. Shout out to Mr. Eric Holmes. Everybody that decided to come out. I really appreciate y'all, and y'all don't know how encouraging it is to see you guys comment, to see you guys hit me up on the street, sometimes to hit me up on Facebook and Instagram, and tell me what you've seen and what inspired you, what made you laugh, all that. I need that. But again, I just want to thank y'all again for coming on. And with that being said, I'm gonna let y'all go and enjoy y'all weekend, man. And I'll see y'all next week. All right. Talk to you later. Let's take a walk.